Welcome, everybody, to the Sloan Cold Facts podcast, episode number 3. As y'all already know, we got the nice beverage. Back again, we got the Nuevo Wisi, red wine. On today's podcast, we got a special guest, a guy who, on Sloan Cold Facts podcast, we like to give people their flowers. We like to give people their props because nowadays, man, sometimes, especially as men, guys have a hard time giving dudes flowers and giving dudes props. But here on Sloan Cold Facts, we definitely don't. This is definitely what the show is about. I got a guy today on the podcast who has been around basketball for 30, 40 years. He's been a grassroots AAU high-level coach during that time. He was an A-Leaf legend, grew up and born in the Chi, moved to Houston, was an A-Leaf legend. Last week we had Carlos Hurt on the show. A lot of people say he was the Carlos Hurt before Carlos Hurt. He's coached, has sent hundreds of guys to play basketball at the next level. Has had several pros, guys like Jared Allen, guys like Galen Robinson was one of the guys who kind of got the U of H basketball resurrection started. Been around high-level dudes, coach high-level dudes, and he has a son. His oldest son is a high-level point guard. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about right now, it's Marlon Lowe. His son is Jaland Lowe, one of the best point guards in the country, a top 100 prospect. Marlon, welcome to the show, man. We appreciate you for joining Sloan Cold Facts.
Already, no problem. Glad to be here, man. Happy to be able to sit next to you, have a great conversation.
Lowe, let's jump right in it, man. Early this week, we had the untimely death and murder of rapper PNB Rock. Also this week, the trial of former NBA and Texas Tech great Andre Emmett, who was also murdered a couple years ago. The trial for his killers is this week. Man, there was a lot of speculation on social media all week about, the girlfriend had the location on when they went to the Roscoe's in LA, and he had all his jewels on and he had the nice whip. It's one of those things, Lowe, like, do you think that in the culture we're in now, guys should be more careful about, wearing jewels or driving nice whips or kind of being flashy? Even myself, people may feel like, I'm a little flashy at times, but sometimes guys, like, it's who they are, it's their lifestyle, especially if you're a rapper or athlete. So kind of give me your take, Lowe, on what you feel as far as guys being flashy, or like, should they be more careful? Should you not post so much on social media? Especially nowadays, man, people are hungry, people are jealous, people are envious. So what's your thoughts?
Well, I think first, it's a condolences to everybody involved. And in reality, you have to feel bad for even the people who are at fault for their families. You have to feel for their families who about to lose. They don't realize the impact that the decision that they made, it impacts their families for life as well. So, but as far as guys wearing jewelry and flash and things of that nature, it's I think it's if they've earned it, it's their right to have what they want to have. It's their right. At the same time, they have to understand that what they have is a motivation for others to want to have it and to have access to things like that. So you do have to tread lightly and be careful about where you go and what you do and what you show. I also think that it's imperative to kind of show people, like, listen, that's theirs. Let's find a way to put you in a position where you can get something like that too. Not to have theirs, but to have your own.
Right.
I think those are conversations that we don't really talk about a lot, but we still talk about the impact of what happened instead of talking about how can we have access to make sure people have access to this, or for them to see things like it's not, or for us to be as not materialistic as many of us are, many people.
And Lowe, even like kind of going there, the materialistic things, like for some guys, I'm gonna use myself for example. Like if I buy some shoes or clothes, like a lot of times it's because those things like make me feel good, and like I put that on. You know, it's kind of like the old Deion Sanders saying. You know, you look good, you play good, you feel good.
No question.
And so a lot of times that may come off as materialistic, or that may come off as maybe, you know, the guy kind of want, you know, does all young guys want, you know, material things? Should you not, you know, purchase things like those, right? So you having a son who, again, is a big time prospect, very well known, is going to make money playing basketball. What would your advice be to him in a situation like this?
My thing with him is like he had never seen me personally or anybody around us just wear those type of items quite a bit.
Yeah,
we push a lot of, we talk about a lot of other items that we feel like is important, but in general, I would just tell him, like, just, you know, like your swag, what you do, the items that you wear, that's just who you are. That's part of your swag. You got to respect it. Yeah. And if people who don't wear that, you know, I dress down, but my swag is kind of like my intellect. You know, and the way you know, you have some intellect also. It's just who you are. You gotta respect people for who they are, and what they, you know, what they bring to the table, not necessarily what they wear, what they have on. So we communicate along those lines.
And Lowe, now can sometimes what people bring to the table be undersold or be undervalued because of what someone may portray?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yes, absolutely. It can be. People sometimes people make judgments about people before they understand who they are as a person, or what they their knowledge and their wisdom that they can bring to the game, or just about their aptitude, you know, their intelligence, about what they can, how they can help elevate other people around them and themselves. They prejudge sometimes, and so that kind of gets in our way.
Lowe, before we kind of jump into the kind of topic, which is this episode is titled, "Do We Need More Basketball People in the Game of Basketball?"
Okay.
Quickly, briefly, Lowe, kind of talk about your background. I gave a little bit, but I like to let guys like talk about themselves. So kind of give us briefly like your background in the game, where your love of the game came from originally.
My background is I've been doing summer basketball this is just finished year 26. So I just started, I got out, man, to be honest with you. I started in the game. I had played down over in South America for a while, and I came back during a break, and I was just needing a job. So I went and found I saw a gym right off of I-10, the Beltway, where Baseball USA first started at. And it was an old court in there. It was called Chief Center Court. They had the game from Elvin Hayes and Lou Alcindor that played in the Dome back in the days.
Okay.
So I started sweeping floors in there, sweeping floors during the day, and I found out that they hooped at night, so they let me play. And then eventually, one time I came up during the day, and while I was sweeping floors, I saw them training kids. I had never seen that before, never. So that's just kind of how I started out, man. Is they asked me one time if I wanted to be an assistant coach, help them, and I did. So from there, it just kind of took off, and you know, I just used my love for what I have, the passion, and kept learning, enjoying life with it. So that brings me to here. But my passion, love for the game, pretty much came from the streets.
Okay.
I started out loving football first.
Okay.
Playing dead man tackle or whatever they call smear the queer on concrete and things of that nature in school. And then after that, we had to go over and play some basketball, and I just started enjoying it. You know, just the activity, moving, having fun, and that's where it started at for me.
No, Lowe, you being modest, man. Literally, it's funny. Obviously, I met you after I met Lowe's, obviously, because Lowe's and I grew up together. But people told me, man, that A-Leaf, you were the guy. Like it was like, yo, he was Carlos Hurt before Carlos Hurt. And now, again, you watch our last episode 2, you know, Carlos Hurt was McDonald's All-American. He was one of the better players in our city ever.
Yeah.
And people say you, Marlon Lowe, were just as good as he was. So kind of talk about that path, Lowe, you know, in high school.
I was pretty good.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Same high school, right, Elsie?
Same high school, Elsie.
Okay.
I was pretty good. I was real good. I played varsity all 4 years over there. I started out as freshman.
Okay.
So I played freshman, then I played varsity. Some days I would play freshman 2 quarters, and that night I would play varsity 2 quarters.
Oh, wow.
That's basically how it happened. You could play so many quarters. I was straight. I still I it's funny too. I never had this conversation on air with anybody, but playing varsity all 4 years at Elsica, had a good time. Mm-hmm. My dad came to see me play probably one time.
Oh, okay.
So I was still kind of a neighborhood guy, put it like that.
Okay.
And one night we lost to a school that we hadn't lost to before. Mm-hmm. And I had a decent game, wasn't well, but my coach scolded us after the game, and it was cool. This was my senior year. I left my uniform on the floor that night, just left it in the locker room on the floor.
Okay.
Next day I came in, and he told me I was off the team.
Now, was that purpose? You purposely left a uniform on the floor, or just like you just took it off, forgot to put it in the bin, or like you were like, man, fuck this, I'm done, and you took it off?
No, it wasn't I'm done. It was just like I just left it on the floor, like whatever, I'm leaving this behind, everything. But it wasn't intentional,
okay.
You know?
Okay.
So I came in the next day, and he told me I was done when I was off the team. It shocked me. It shocked me. Kind of messed up a lot. It messed up a lot of opportunities for me that I had. So I didn't finish my senior year of high school on the basketball team. I lost a lot of my MVP. I lost scholarship offers, which I had. Shout out to Carlos. Heard I was going up to Louisville with Denny Crum. And so I lost those opportunities, which was cool.
Yeah,
you know,
I never heard this story before. Though.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that leave know that. But I just I did it. I was in Street and Smith. You know,
okay.
I was some of the top guys in the country.
Okay.
And
now, Lowe,
that's just what it is.
And so, after that situation, like, did you go back and talk to coach? Did you like when he told you off the team? Like, was it one of those things where like that was it? No, couldn't run to get back on the team. You couldn't. It was just like, because to me it seemed like you leaving the jersey in the locker room
petty.
To be super. Yeah, that's very, 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 very petty.
Yeah. I didn't know what to say to him, so I was kind of like I hung with different kind of dudes. So I was like, man, F it, whatever. I didn't know what to say. I didn't have a relationship at home with my dad. He was never there. I really didn't stay with him, but I just didn't know what to say. So I just took it for what it was. But I had somebody that still was in my corner. His name was David Tucker. His son Andre Tucker still played on the team, and he helped me to kind of just keep sort my life out a little bit there. So he took me, but I didn't know what to say. But to this day, it's still kind of I can say it kind of bothers me. It hurts.
Yeah.
My name, they took my name out of all the record books.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they took.
So it had to be something more low than just that. I'm saying like as like for the coach.
Yeah.
It had to be something more. Maybe he felt a certain type of way or something, just for him to take you, pull that type of stunt for one incident.
Man, and you know what? To be honest with you, that was our first time ever butting heads. I can say that. He was cool with me, so it totally shocked me. But yeah, they took my name out of record books. We seen each other probably about 8 years ago, maybe 10. And whenever he retired, but he told me that he apologized for what he did. Said he probably made a mistake. If I had it all do over again, I was like, that's cool. I appreciate it. It is what it is. But I still have what he did was he asked me to come out to his house. He said he had all the VHS tapes.
And this was 8 years ago.
Probably maybe a little bit longer, but he had all the VHS tapes from when I played. Carlos, everybody played. So I have all of those tapes at my house.
Oh wow!
I got to get them converted, but I have them in storage somewhere. I got to find them. But it was cool. Then one of the highlights was like Rick Shirley was the head coach at Hastings High School at the time, and Coach Shirley continuously, and even to this day,
long-time coach.
Yeah, he kind of still remembers, and he talks about our battles a lot of time, and he talks, and the two he always compares is just myself and Carlos Hurt, and I always give Carlos the props. I would say he was the best guard to come out of A-Leaf. I love what he did. Circumstances hit us all.
Correct. Yeah.
But the fact that he had a lot of good people around him and still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Lowe, even hitting with the circumstances. Same with Lowe. Kind of, we talked about it last week. He said he wished he made better choices, and he wished he hung around maybe different people.
Yeah.
Is that something? I mean, obviously this happens throughout the country, all over the country, different neighborhoods. But is that something specifically? Even back then when you were in school and when Los was in school, like, is that like what A-Leaf was, as far as like the guys you hung around And even with Lowe's, with the father figure, I think Lowe's was almost, what I like to say, he was extremely mature for a high school kid. You know, so is that a situation where that's a environmental thing? It's kind of like, yo, how you guys grew up, you got to grow up fast, you're around these dudes, and it makes you feel like you're in control, you're an adult, you don't need guidance.
No question. The environment. I hung with some really good guys that are still my friends to this day.
Okay.
We was kind of, you might call us street guys or whatever, but they were good guys, and we never went and looked for any trouble. Not that at all, but it was times that we didn't run from anything either. So at the same time, it was always about when certain situations come up, it's just, hey, you gotta man up for where you at right now. It was not about thinking forward, think about what could happen tomorrow. It was not about, we wasn't taught about how to go, well, just to look, okay, this happened. Go in, bite the bullet, tell you made an error, and let them make a decision. It wasn't about that. It was. We weren't taught how to negotiate and how to communicate properly. We just, went on instincts right away. Yeah.
That's almost like a life lesson. And so now, just kind of translating that to you being a father now, and you being very present. To be honest, Lowe, man, you were one of the first guys I've seen, like, in their kids' lives, like heavily in the AAU space. As far as like when I stopped playing, I saw like a lot of guys. Like I saw you and Christian Begg and other guys, and Steve Hayes, even with team chemistry. You guys not only had your own programs, but you were also heavily involved in your sons' lives and your family's lives. Now, is that one of those things, Lowe, where because you didn't have that, you made it a point in your life to say, listen, my son's going to be different. My son's lives will be different.
Absolutely, 100%. I've turned down a lot of, at least 6 college jobs.
Now speak on that, Lowe, because a lot of the listeners, especially the young basketball guys who listen to this show, you hear a lot about young dudes want to get college jobs. Like, I want to get in the college game, but they don't really know what it entails. Right. And you being at the top of your game in the grassroots game, having players year after year after year, college coaches obviously need, they want to access the players, your basketball mind. Let's offer Marlon Lowe a job. And for some people, Lowe, I always say this, non-black guys, they go to college, they may play 1 or 2 years, they jump right in the game, right in coaching. You see it, at the highest level. Yeah. Right? High majors, mid majors. What we don't do is kind of take advantage of those opportunities. And so for you, Lowe, for you to be offered, really good jobs as assistant basketball coach at the collegiate level, you turn it down because of your family speaks volumes. So at the time you were offered those jobs, was it a situation where you looked at like, listen, I got a family, I need to be there for my kids, for my sons, for my wife? Or did it ever cross your mind like, man, this could be a good opportunity for our family,
Both, all of the above. My first D1 offer was it there or second? My first one was to Boise State.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It was right before James Bailey got the job. When he got it, I had said no first.
Okay.
People don't know. That's cool. I'm not tripping. I help say, people ask me about it. Go ahead. I don't want it. Yeah. Reason why I did turn it down at the time, it just didn't offer enough for my family.
Financially.
Okay. For us to be able, it didn't make sense for us to move out there at that point in time. Okay. For the financial return I would have got. Okay. And I wasn't just hunting to be a college coach. If I was hunting to be a college coach, then I would have accepted that job. Yeah. The second one offered me over 2 something, almost close to 3.
You turned it down, Lowe.
I turned it down. Yeah, it was
in Texas?
No, it was a SEC school. Well, and
the decision on that, come on, Lowe. That's
my decision on that was my kids were probably 3rd, 4th grade and maybe 2nd grade, 3rd grade or 1st grade at the time.
And with 200, Lowe, you couldn't take them?
I could have took them. I think my reasoning took my wife a little time to understand who I was. Okay, she didn't like that answer. You know what I'm saying? She didn't like the next three times I said no, but I wanted to be present and involved with my kids. I respect every college coach
tough job.
who does decide to do what they're doing. I respect that. My father wasn't there. I had nobody in there to make the guys to be there for me to help me. So I wanted to make sure that I was present and involved in everything that they had, even if I just had to stand out in the background and not to just watch. I wanted to make sure I was there when they had questions, when they woke up in the morning. And I wanted to make sure that I was around them more than I was around other people's kids. But that was me. So, but I respect everybody in the college game who chooses to do what they do. I don't think it was about the money. Some people do it because of the money.
Yeah.
Mine was about being present. That's what motivated me. It just keeps motivating. It's just about being present. I take that over. To me, that's more valuable than the financial contribution that would have come back, especially if I wasn't there.
It's crazy you say that, Lowe.
And I just got recently I was offered another college job probably about maybe several months ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I just
couldn't do it.
Nah.
It's funny you say that, Lowe, because my wife and I talk about, maybe what's next for me. And so like a couple NBA scouting positions come up. But it's like I'm the same. My father was there every step of the way in my life. During AAU basketball was probably the greatest time of my life because my dad was there. We'd go on all these trips and around the country and doing all these things together. And so the being present part for me, I know what it did to have my father there for me. And so for my kids, like you, it's like, even college coaching, it's like, do I take this job? Where as you know, Lowe, I'm an entrepreneur, right. So it's like I have to create my income.
Love it.
With college basketball, I know every 2 weeks a university is going to make a direct deposit. I don't have to wake up thinking, all right, what's going to happen in November? What's going to happen in January? I know it's coming every 2 weeks, Lowe.
I love that.
It's like if I'm at University of Houston, every 2 weeks, University of Houston Systems, I'm getting a check, and so it's a lot of stability there, but.
I think that goes back, not to cut you off, that goes back to me to what I love about that is Jay-Z says financial freedom is our only hope.
That's true.
You have, not that it comes easy for you, you still have to work.
Yeah, I do.
But you have financial freedom where you can wake up when you want to wake up, you can choose to do the things you want to do, and you can go when you want to go.
Yeah.
That's a choice that people make.
Yeah. And
I respect the heck out of that. It's kind of what I live on.
Yeah, and so again, man, at times my wife, she's just like, it'll be, because my wife, she's been in retail sales, high-end sales for her whole career, so she understands the every 2 weeks it's a check and it's safe. Me, I don't subscribe to that notion because I'm like, it's like you said, I have freedom. If I want to go to Turks next week, I don't have to worry about, oh man, the season coming up or I got to go scout. We can go, but the being present with my family and my kids is so important to me because I've seen in basketball guys or kids who don't have their fathers and who they listen to as opposed to a father listen to the internet, social media.
No question.
And the shit on social media, you like, golly. And I have daughters also too, which is a whole other animal, for me. So being present is important. So I'm not gonna lie, Lowe, 200, 300,000 is a big number, especially it's a big safe number. But on the flip side, I understand what you mean about the being present because it's really, to be honest, it's priceless. Yeah. And I'm sure for you, it's some mornings you wake up thinking like, dang, if I would have took that, we could have been here, different financially. But over time, I'm sure you understand, like you can go watch your son play in the EYBL.
Yeah.
Like your son will never forget that. Never.
Right.
Ever in his life. I'm 40. Anytime I see y'all or go to AAU basketball, in one of my own events, I think about my dad. Like, man, we used to go here and play here, see me play here. So the being present is important. But Lowe, with you getting offers to be a college coach, being a basketball guy, it's this thing on social media where people been saying, do we need more basketball people in basketball? Do we need more basketball people leading the charge on all levels, grassroots, professional, college, in scouting, in media. It's watching Kendrick Perkins, and Draymond calling themselves the new media.
Right.
Being a player at a certain level, obviously in NBA and winning championships, he can speak and articulate from a different point of view.
Absolutely.
So what's your thoughts, Lowe, on the game needing more basketball people in basketball?
It's a need. I think to me, it should be almost a prerequisite. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say that there's not room for both, but I think that when you are involved in the game, you've played the game, you understand the game, then there should be a special avenue to make sure that you're around the game, that you remain around the game. Not necessarily doesn't mean that you need to be in front of the microphone. It doesn't mean, but some way you should still be involved in the game if you choose to be, because you continue. Once you stop playing, when you're playing, you see things from a different perspective. Once you stop playing, you really grow and see things from a different perspective as well. So a lot of players, man, have so much insight and knowledge, man, that it can't be replicated by people that haven't. And I'm not saying that those guys aren't as important, the guys who haven't, but when you sit back and think of some of the guys that do NBA games, whether it's Reggie Miller, Kendrick Perkins, they bring their own little special sauce and flavor to the game, and they kind of give you a little insight on what's really going on because they've been in those locker rooms, they've been in those huddles, so they understand the little nuances that people need to hear. And it's not just about tearing a person down. They don't call a player names. They kind of understand. They have empathy for guys. At the same time, they know when a person is wrong because they've been there. So I think it's a special place for those guys. But for people to be able to impact the game as far as evaluating, you got to be around it a lot, man. You got to be around it a lot. You got to be in multiple areas.
So now, Lowe, it's people who always say that you don't have to necessarily play the game to evaluate it. You could study it. Maybe you could watch games and look at levels and maybe see, okay, this player is different from that player. So do you feel like, Lowe, you can, by just watching the game, watching grassroots, watching high school basketball, kind of taking notes, maybe listening to certain people, do you think you can pick up on being a evaluator or scout?
I do. I think you can pick up on those. I think you can pick up on those things, and I think that you can eventually be really good at them. Really good. I think you can probably be great at them.
Okay.
But there's a difference. Some things that you probably won't ever be able to be really good at or understand. So one guy can always understand where you coming from, but if you haven't been in the thick of things, sometimes you won't always be able to understand where they coming from. But there's room for both, like I said. So, but I think that there has to be some knowledge, understudy, and some apprenticeship to understand where you fit in at.
And so, Lowe, a lot of times for athletes, especially basketball players, guys who played the game, been in the game, they have a hard time articulating it via writing on the internet, writing an article, getting in front of a camera. Speaking, even producing things. Like, guys have a hard time because maybe not necessarily they don't have those. It's a certain skill set you have to have.
Yes.
And some guys, some former players, they don't have that.
Right.
And so a guy who is articulate, who can write, who can speak in front of a camera, they may get a certain job or a certain promotion or get to a certain level because they can articulate it more so than a former player can.
Yeah.
So is that one of those things where, former players have to kind of work on their skill set off the court as well?
It is. It just comes with it. If you want to be in a public eye and you want to be in front of TV, radio, people expect certain things, but at the same time, you should also be able to be who you are. I'm not the most. I think I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm pretty intellectual. I'm not the most articulate when it comes down to speaking all the time, but I'm a pretty good writer though. Like when we're around the house, and my wife, she has BA, masters, things of that nature. She, basically a scientist.
Yeah.
But when our sons have certain things about writing, and even herself, she hits me with it. Asks me, hey, look at this, check this over, right?
Right.
So I can write pretty well, but when it comes down to articulating, I can't articulate it the way the mass media would want it to be articulated. I'm articulating the way that people who I hang around understand real quick.
I think that's why Kendrick Perkins has become so successful, because he doesn't articulate like the mass media. He keeps it real. He keeps himself. Like, you know, I mean, he's himself.
Yeah.
And I think people now are starting to understand that and gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
People are starting to see like this. I mean, Kendrick talks like we would at the bar or like in the gym, and people can relate and understand that, as opposed to the mass media. And even though you and I have had conversations about this before, in high school basketball, grassroots basketball, even at the very top, the evaluators, 97% of them, maybe even 100%. If you look at the highest platforms, ESPN, 247, Rivals, none of those guys were players. Now, they may have been coaches. I know Paul Biancardi was a coach. I know Adam Finkelstein was a coach, prep school coach at one time, but I'm not sure if they were like players. Maybe they were.
Right.
But you and I talked about this before. Some of those jobs or some of those opportunities, again, you feel like should go to, I mean, even myself, I feel like they should go to former players who can, if they can do the work, because it does require writing. It does require being present at events, being attentive, you know, being able to scout, evaluate. If they have those skill set, they should also be able to be up for jobs like that. But again, I think it just comes back to what we just spoke on. A lot of guys aren't prepared. And so there should be some program out there that kind of helps prepare guys for some of these jobs.
It could be. I think I saw Chris Walker maybe 2 weeks ago, and we were talking. People was talking basketball, and I had to let him know, like, Chris, like, I enjoy listening to you when you're on TV, doing TV radio. I like how you break things down, and it's easy to comprehend, me being a player myself. So I'm able to see what you're looking at, and you make it clear. And I say, but it's another guy that I thought was awesome as well. He said, who's that? I say, Perry Clark.
Yeah.
I said last year was his first time doing it. He had just retired from college. Maybe he'll get back in, but he was on TV radio, man, and he was phenomenal. Like, just the breakdown of the way he talks about things and the way the game goes. And it's like, it just flowed for me, you know? So it should be programs in place, but a lot of it is just, you know, sometimes you got to give people a chance, man. It's about feel.
Right.
You don't always have to start them out at the highest level. You can bring them along slowly. A game here, a game there, go to college, do a high school, and just kind of see what it is. And they start to get their niche. And I think it can go that way.
Lowe, with the way the game's going with the analytics, right? Analytics has changed the way the game is played. It's changed the way the game is evaluated, scouted. It's changed the way that even at the highest level, NBA people look at the game, right? Do you think that, and also what analytics has done is analytic guys, I'm going to use air quotes, guys who are very good in analytics have maybe taken, I'm not going to say taking some of the jobs, but for lack of a better term, taking some of the jobs from, and when I say jobs, like NBA level jobs, even now in the college game, from former players. Should those players, again, should they be like, hey, maybe we should kind of figure out what analytics are? Or, again, should those guys have an opportunity, like you said, to like get a shot? Because it's a lot of guys, Lowe, who even at the NBA level, they've been scouts for a very long time.
Yeah.
They should have been pushed into opportunities to become a GM, to become an assistant GM or team president. But because maybe, they, you know, with the game changing, they aren't up-to-date analytics, or they don't know how to, you know, look at synergy and figure out the analytics and all that stuff. They are getting, I'm going to say, passed up by analytic guys in certain jobs.
I think we have to know this, think about this as well. A lot of those guys are fine where they are because they're able to go home every night. They don't have to stay up extra hours to be a coach and what it takes. For those that are wanting to be that, they should be given some type of opportunities. Does it come ahead of somebody that didn't play the game? It's tough. You would assume to say yes, because they paid their dues. But you have to understand as far as how people have made lanes for themselves. So for example, like I don't necessarily think that analytics changed the game. I think that creativity changed the game.
Okay.
People trying to play more guards that had to be creative. I don't think numbers made a coach decide to do it that way. I think the creativity changed the game, and then analytics allowed people to come in with a different lane. So the creativity that they had about how to input themselves into the game is what made a lane for guys that didn't probably play as much.
Okay.
Whether it's the nerds, people want to call them the nerds or whomever.
Yeah.
But you can have white nerds, you can have black nerds, you can have brown, yellow nerds. I think that's a lane for them. But at the same time, the creativity doesn't come from numbers.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The creativity comes from having a feel for the game. And only the special ones have a feel that nobody else has. How to change, how to create. That's what entertains.
Yeah.
That's what entertains, not necessarily those numbers. Yeah. The numbers kind of give you some clarity on other things, but for the most part, it's the creativity and it's the feel that makes the game what it is.
And Lowe, talking about feel, I think that even in evaluation and scouting, it's a certain feel you have to have. I used to say, how can this guy evaluate basketball if he never got through a screen? If he never had to switch big, small on the screen? If he never had to attack a closeout, how can he not articulate, but how can he evaluate? How can he tell a college coach what level a kid is or what level a kid can project if he hasn't literally gone through it? Yeah. And now people give me backlash about that. They say, Sloan, like, we can watch a game and we can tell, we can compare players, but it's a feel, in my opinion, that you have to have. I feel like anybody could get numbers. Okay, kid is 6'6", he shot this from the field, here's his cell number, here's his email address, here's his parents' number. I feel that it's a next level you have to go to in evaluation and scouting to say he can play in the Big 12, he can play in the Mountain West, or the kid can't play in the Big 12, he can play in the Southland. Yeah. And again, maybe you go to college practices, maybe you see, Lowe, because I always implore parents and kids alike, go watch U of H practice, go watch Texas practice, go watch UCLA practice, and see if you feel your son can play at that level. Yeah. But I still, in my mind, believe it's a certain feel, it's a certain thing you can't really describe that you have to get to a certain level of evaluation and scouting.
It's almost like the locker room. You you don't like it, but you're like, yo, I know where I'm at. Correct. This is my environment. This is my vibe. This is where I go, what I do. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that you have to be able to definitely have a feel for the game. You have to allow yourself you have to enjoy being in the locker room. You have to enjoy yourself watching. You got to want to hear the aura of the game and the shoes squeak, the ball bounce, because watching it on tape is nothing compared to being live. Like I say, if people say they evaluate on tape, when you evaluate on tape, you evaluate because you heard about what somebody's able to do, and so you watch it to see what to expect when you get there, or you saw what they did and you just reviewing the tape to see what if you missed anything or to watch what they did again. But you can't evaluate from a tape. Can't do that. Not fairly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not fairly. You got to be there. You got to allow yourself to move around. And so even with that as a evaluators, you got to find ways to be able to make sure that you're able to move around. But I think that anybody can evaluate. Not saying that anybody can evaluate. Right. I don't think that evaluators, no, you have to be a certain type of dude in order to rank somebody. Okay. You can evaluate. Like I think I was talking to G-Day last week, and my thing with him was I was like, listen, you can evaluate everybody like a camera guy can evaluate anybody, because Mo Elrod followed us when we first got Texas Pro. He did a hell of a job. He knew he would talk to us, say, hey, man, look at this. Yo, y'all got to work with him on that. He was telling us certain things, right? So he can evaluate. But one thing he never tried to do was to rank. you can't rank a kid if you're always with our team all the time.
Correct. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a difference. If you are ranking and you are with a team all the time, that's to me that's a red flag. Mm-hmm. It's a serious red flag. So because you're not there and you can't sit back and say, well, I seen these kids in high school. No, it don't work like that.
Now, Lowe, so let's say I heard you talk about this last week.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned weighted evaluations, right? So a kid plays on the EYBL, he plays as a good player, 12 and 6 on the EYBL.
Right.
High school, good player. It's a kid on the independent circuit averages 20 and 9. Let's say I've seen each kid 10 times in high school and a high school team, 10 times in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
The kid on the EYBL is playing against quote unquote better players. In your mind, you feel like he should be evaluated on a higher scale because of his competition, almost like in school, taking AP classes.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And regular or honors. I very
think,
similar.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. But there's it's a line in that too, though.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see where you're going with that, and I would sign off on that. Understand where you're going with it. I would say I can endorse that.
Okay.
But some people would mention about they watch high school games also.
Right.
My thing on that would be like this: if you watch a kid on the summer ball do his thing and go off, then he better do even more than that in high school. If he's not at a prep school, in high school, he should be doing more than that.
Right, unless he's at like a Mount Verde or Oak Hill. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
If you've seen a kid in high school, if a kid in high school, okay, you take kids in Houston. If how many of these kids how many kids in the top 10 in the city of Houston in the 2023 class?
Okay.
How many of those guys had multiple 20? How many 20-point games did each one of them have? How many 30-point games did each one of them have? How many 40-point games, 50-point games did each one of them have in high school? If they've done that in high school, some of that should still be able to translate over to summer ball.
Unless they're playing on a stacked summer ball team, right?
No question. If they plan on a stacked summer ball, you should still see a lot of glimpses of it over the summer.
Right.
If they haven't done those things in high school, it's not going to happen in summer ball.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're on a stacked team in high school, and then you rarely in Houston, I'll say, do we have guys that play on stacked teams in high school, but you can play on a stacked team in summer ball.
Yes.
So if you play on a stacked team in summer ball, what you do will still stand out. But when you go back to your high school, or already knew what you did in high school, what you was a serious threat, and everybody knew that you was a problem.
Yeah.
If you don't have both of those two, where you can see that consistently, don't miss me with the ranking, dog. That don't work like that. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call Marcus Gradney.
Okay.
See, Marcus Gradney, my guy out of L.A. His brother Scott Gradney actually played at TCU before I got there. Let's see.
Hello,
M. Grad.
it's cracking.
Welcome to the Sloan Cold Facts podcast, man. I got your guy Marlon Lowe in the building.
What's going on, y'all?
And Grass, what's happening, man?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Good to hear from you, man. We ain't interacted in a while.
M. Grads. So the title of this podcast is "Do We Need More Basketball People in Basketball?" So if anyone follows you on social media, they've seen you use this hashtag. We need more basketball people in basketball. Speak on that, M. Grads.
I mean, well, as we both know, there's a lot of people in positions that have no reason being in those positions, and they have no idea what to do in those positions that they are in. It's kind of painful to watch and to see it sometimes.
And now, M. Grads, what level you talking? You talking NBA? You talking college?
Ooh, buddy. There's all levels.
Okay, all levels. Okay.
All levels, but not so much, I would say, in the man.
You can speak freely here, M. Grads. You can speak freely, dog.
Basketball. Okay. Pretty much college and basketball, because like in high school to me is a different animal. So pretty much college, because you get up in college and NBA, you get up to different, obviously, levels. but it's a business.
Yeah.
And some people treat it as such, but some people still have no business being in the position that they are in. It's just lack of knowledge. It's lack of a lot of things, you know, that as people say, we get lost in the, you know, recipes are getting lost. That's how I look at it in basketball.
So we lose, we losing recipes, huh?
Yeah, we losing that, and it's just like, man.
He trying not to step on toes.
No, it's not. No. No, I'm not here to call people out. I'm just saying it's just like when you get to that level, when you get to the level above, you know, high school and stuff like that, we all know it is a business, but that doesn't mean we don't know the business. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think we get overlooked for a lot of things. I don't know why. I mean, I do, but I don't know why that has to play a part in something. But it's kind of like almost painful to watch.
And so, M-Grads, give me your definition of a basketball guy or basketball people when you say we need more basketball people in basketball.
I mean, people that know what it's like, you know, to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, and drive like get driven or drive somewhere. Like they know the whole routine of basketball. They know what entails being a basketball player, being in the basketball world. You know, like they know how to make a left-handed layup.
You got the left-handed layup challenge.
Man, I'm just saying because it's like it's too many people commenting on it. Because I was watching, there's too many people commenting on it. There's too many people like, man, it's just painful to watch because it's just like the wrong people sometimes get in positions that they should have no business being in because of social media or whatever. Right. And it's just like that social media has too much of a stranglehold on things and stuff like that. But I mean, that's the way the nature of the beast now. But it's a basketball person is somebody who I think who's played basketball on a level higher than church league and would understand what they're talking about.
Okay.
Because a lot of these dudes, church league, a lot of these dudes didn't even play basketball.
That's true. They did not.
Everybody thinks they know because they watch it on TV or whatever because of the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? They watch Steph Curry, and a lot of these people have crept in, but they have quote unquote platforms. You know, it's man, yeah, it's a basketball. Okay, you asked me what is a basketball person. A basketball person, like I said, somebody who's played the game on a level higher than honestly than like 8th grade, yeah. You know, maybe even high school, because it's like a lot of these, just like I'm saying, it's just, people don't have the experience. They don't understand the things that some of these kids go through. You know, and it's like, that's what we forget about.
And that's another.
These are kids at the end of the day, and people forget about that.
That's a big part of the equation. I didn't even talk about that with Lowe, but with what you saying at M-Grads, that's a really, really big part of even evaluating, like scouting kids, and even as far as next level things, like knowing who these kids are as people, their backgrounds, how they grew up, their family, being able to relate to that, to even in your evaluation, say, hey, you know, this kid had an attitude this game because his dad got been locked up for 10 years. He and the mom work at night, so, you know, he might have been hungry. Couldn't get a hold of his mom to find out where his little brother is, and he got a basketball game at 8 p.m. and now you got to figure out, like, yo, you got to listen to the coach bitch at him and thinking about the off the court stuff. And so, man, in your mind, you feel like those guys, and I brought this to Lowe.
No, it's just man, I'm not. It's just the culture of basketball has changed completely, right? And obviously that comes to social media, but it's just
I'm gonna ask you the question I asked Lowe, not to cut you off.
Okay. Oh no, you good? No, you good. We all family.
Do you think analytics has changed the way it's scouted, it's evaluated, has changed the culture of basketball?
I mean, I'm not a big fan of analytics, but it's necessary. It's necessary for, I don't know. I guess to help other people understand the game of basketball better, because, like, I mean, they put up numbers. Well, he shouldn't have taken that shot because it's 30%. But it's like some of us would be like, yo, I'd rather have, Kobe Bryant taking the last shot, or, LeBron James taking the last shot. I don't care what the percentages are.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't get. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm rocking with I'm not trying to, I think analytics work more so in baseball than they do in basketball. Because, like, the game is now Steph Curry with threes, so everybody's like, you got to shoot threes, because if you make it, 3 points is more than 2. It's just like, man.
Congrats. Let me
mid-range gets you paid.
Congrats. Let me ask you a question on analytics, right? So the narrative and the communication is the fact that a 33% from the 3 is just as equivalent to 50% from the 2 if you take a certain amount of them, correct?
Right.
So I ask this: if you're down 1 at the end of a game, do you shoot the 50% shot or do you shoot the 33% shot?
I mean, that goes without saying.
Right. But what I'm saying is,
without saying.
Right. But some people sit back and say, don't shoot a mid-range.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're getting rid of mid. That doesn't make any sense to me. like pull-ups and all, that's all a part of basketball. Look at DeMar DeRozan.
Right.
I mean, Kawhi Leonard. These guys, they have all 3 levels.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's the 3 and the 2, like the 3 are layups. That's not how basketball's played, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, like that's not how. It's just like that's not how it's played, because you get feeling it and all kinds of stuff.
Right. So
like.
No, I just.
So I mean,
go ahead.
Steph Curry has changed. Sorry to cut you off. Steph Curry, as great as he is, he's made it look easy. So people and plus people think Steph Curry's 5'7". When he's the same size as Russell Westbrook.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
You feel what I'm saying? There, nobody calls Russell Westbrook a little guy.
True.
At all.
But and it's just like, but that's once again not Steph Curry's fault at all of his greatness, but people who don't understand the game watch him and they're just like, well, why is everybody else just shoot threes? He does it.
Right.
Like, Steph Curry's come around once a lifetime.
Very true. Very true.
Him as it's like you don't see too many Steph Currys. Somebody who can dominate like that.
I asked Lowe this question: Do you feel as though because we can't articulate it, or we aren't as good in front of the camera, or on the laptop, or on the MacBook writing articles, editing articles, do you think that hurts us as far as getting these basketball positions?
Man, you guys are not trying to hold back. You guys are trying to get me in trouble with it. You guys are trying to get me to start spazzing. I'm just gonna be honest. It's like when you go to summer league, okay, and you look around, you look in the stands, you look at personnel and all that stuff. Nobody's blind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's a few sprinkles with the collared shirts on, but it's just like, they always say, well, just because you played basketball doesn't mean you're a good coach. People be failing to forget that Coach K played basketball.
Yeah.
He played D1.
Yeah.
He played for Bobby Knight.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know like how much high level we get from that. Bobby Knight was his coach.
Yeah,
it was a long time ago, but what I'm saying is, like, Bobby Knight played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
John Wooden played basketball.
Yeah,
at Purdue. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, to me, it's like they try to say that just because you're a basketball player doesn't mean you're a good coach. But, like, Pat Riley played basketball.
Right. Phil Jackson.
You see what I'm saying? They're former players.
Yeah.
Saying it without saying it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Steve Kerr, former player.
For sure.
But Jason Hart's a former player too.
Jay Hart, yes he is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The coach of the G League Ignite. Like,
Yep.
the college coach, you got all those dudes at USC, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's crazy, you know? And I mean, it is what it is.
So
It's just crazy when I see like video coordinator. I mean, yes, they become good coaches, right?
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah.
But Coach Spoelstra played at Portland.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think I
You
knew
see what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, D1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was Cole was a nice point guard too.
Yeah.
That's different. Coach Spoelstra played basketball at a high level.
Right.
No, he didn't make the NBA, but he played at a high level. Some guys don't even play at that high level. They just become video coordinators. Coach Sproul came up under Coach Pat Riley. So you don't even want to get me started on him because there's no, like, he gets overlooked every year. You don't even want to get me started on that.
Yeah.
How many guys, coaches that haven't played the game have won NBA championships?
That have not played the game?
Mm-hmm. That didn't play, but they might be have found their way to the head coaching position or whatever, that have won an NBA championship.
Did the Bucks coach play? What's his name?
But I think he did.
To Google that.
I think. See, you know, we try to, and it's like what I'm trying to say. A lot of these guys did play. I think Coach Bud played because he got. Let me see. He got mad at her. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I'm thinking. I mean, obviously Steve Kerr. Did Mike Brown play?
No, I don't think. Wait, I don't. He looks like he played overseas somewhere, but I don't know.
Who was that?
He played at Pomona College.
Oh,
and I mean, it's not D. It's in Southern California. It's not like D1, but he played college ball.
Yeah,
you know, like you see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what the locker room smell like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just like it's hard to see it, but like what I'm saying is like there's a lot of guys who play basketball at high levels that are trying to be coaches that are great basketball minds. Like, why is Sam Cassell not a head coach?
That's a great question.
You know what I'm saying?
Nick Van Exel.
Like, guys like that, you know, because it's like, well, it's the media. I didn't like him as a player.
Robert Pack,
like,
another guy, Robert
Damon Stoudemire.
Yeah, that's a lot of guys, yeah.
Like, dude, woo! I could tell stories of guys who called me and told me venting, but I can't.
Yeah.
It's just crazy because it's remember the Titans. Like, when we get hired, I feel like Remember the Titans is such a impactful movie because it's pretty much the standards that were like still like held at kind of if you look at it.
Yeah, gotta be twice as good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially in certain sports, if we finally do get an HC up there and we lose, very rarely do they get hired again. But you see the same coaches get recycled all over the league.
You know, I think about often Stan Bozeman.
From Cal?
Yeah, he never got a second chance.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, exactly. And
it's a
I'm
it's
not
a couple,
saying no names, but
yeah, it's
but
a couple
there's
dudes
guy
I know.
Yeah, there's a guy. Sorry, I ain't trying to say no names. You guys got Google. There's a guy who literally got in trouble for cheating, and he's the head of the scouting service.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's honestly it's crazy the things that happen. People just overlook.
Right.
But we can't do that.
No way.
At all.
No way.
We got to be perfect. There's no reason that Jason Hart, Sam Cassell, people like that shouldn't have a coaching job. No reason.
Yeah.
Like man. Yep, get me. I'm hammered.
M grads, man. I appreciate you, man.
I hope I wasn't too vague, man.
No, no.
It's just
you got to protect your relationships
it's
for
nepotism.
sure.
Nepotism works because I'm happy because when LeBron James gets to where when he's done playing ball and he owns the team, man, listen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I'm not tripping if Bronny James is drafted. You know, the youngest Bryce gets drafted. You know, I'm not tripping if Zuri becomes the genie bus of the team, but way smarter. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, I'm not tripping. You know, like that's, but it's just like, man, it's just a lot of people out there that have no idea about basketball that have platforms. And like I always say, some of these people didn't start watching basketball because the Warriors started winning. Because for some reason, Steph Curry is relatable to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they don't know his journey. Like, come on, man.
Oh, man. In Grassbury. I appreciate you, brother, for jumping on.
Thank you guys for having me on, Lowe. Good talking to y'all, man.
All right, Grads, my guy.
All right, talk.
Marcus Gradney, big in the basketball scene out of L.A. Lowe, we mentioned, you talked about being present in your son's lives. Obviously, your son, Jaland, getting recruited heavily from different schools across the country. You're navigating him through this process like you've navigated other kids before him, other young men before him. Talk about the difference in that, and also what advice would you give young dads, and when I say young dads, dads of young kids maybe get into sports, get into basketball, particularly like myself. My son is 9. He's Jackson. He's starting to like basketball, starting to train, and wants to get involved with basketball. What advice would you give him where to the point where you are now and where you've been navigating kids through the recruiting process?
I would just tell them.
My first question is, how is it different for you now that Jaland is going through it as opposed to when you navigating other guys through it?
Okay. It's different now because those people who used to call me for Daniel House, Chicken Nose, Isaiah Austin, everybody else, Isaiah Taylor, Galen Rod, those guys used to call me back then, don't call me now. So it's interesting now.
Why is that, you think, Lo?
I think it's I can only speculate here. You'd have to ask those guys.
Okay.
Maybe because they feel like I'm a different person because it's my son now, that I might just embellish things.
Okay.
So I can understand from a certain perspective.
Yep.
However, if you know me, you know that I'm a basketball guy. I've been doing this before my son was born. When I talk about him, I talk about him as if he's another player as well, to evaluate and to stand on what he does. Some people I've heard hearsay and one that some people said me personally, I call Lowe's kind of arrogant. I think calling someone arrogant is a way to dismiss them. I call myself confident. I'm confident in what I do and what I say because I've been there. I'm an open guy, and if you know me, you know that you can have a conversation with me and you can change my mind on things. I'm nowhere near this person I'm about to say. However, without this person I'm about to say, without him being as confident as he was, the world of this sport, of another sport, would not be as it was, which was, but some people called him arrogant, but he had all the confidence in the world, which was Muhammad Ali. I'm not Ali by a long shot, but his confidence was there in what he could do. And I'm just confident, but people want to use it to call me arrogant as a way to dismiss me or to say why they shouldn't do certain things with me. But if you know me too, I don't think you know anybody that, or nobody can say somebody that I've had a huge altercation with. Yeah. So if that's the case, then I don't know where that label came from. But yeah, but as far as me being with my son, I'm cool with what he's doing, where he's at. I'm happy with the schools that he has. Okay. People have asked me, was I disappointed in the schools that he has? I say no, because I want the real ones to be there period. And that's just what it is. I could say that there's some disappointment in people that along throughout my years of service to others, they didn't ring my phone.
College coaches,
they didn't ring my phone. They didn't probably pursue him, but that's a disappointment. But at the same time, hey, man, and he was disappointed because he thought he should be deserving of more things and more phone calls because he's a basketball player and he sees what basketball players size each other up all the time. They know what each other is capable of doing. And when he sees certain people getting things that from certain people or schools, that he's like, yo, Dad, you know them. Like, what's up? And they don't ring the phone. That's a question I got to answer. And what I tell him is, listen, man, everybody likes something different. Some people might like a woman with big breasts. Some people might like a woman with small breasts. Vice versa. The bottom, thick, slim. You probably just wasn't they type, son. That's my communication with him. I say, so don't worry about it, don't hold it against them. Keep playing because the one who gonna love you, and they're gonna be there.
And now,
so that's our communication. And lastly, what I would tell a parent who's coming through it. What I've said earlier about myself, you can chase everything that you need to chase as a parent, but when it comes down to this lane, this basketball lane and the recruiting, be a dad, be present and involved, man, because if you're not present and involved, a lot of people don't want you to be present and involved so that they can make the decisions that you're supposed to be making. They want to make them for you.
Speak on that, Lowe, because first episode we had John Uri on. I sent you the link, and Uri said that this grassroots basketball, it divides us as a culture, Black people.
Yes.
Also, too, you've mentioned this before, that it also divides family, particularly the strong Black dad in the family. People try to get in between the dad and the kids, the dad and the son, the dad and the mom, to make the decisions that you feel like the dad and the family should be making.
Yes.
Speak on that.
Well, on the first part, as far as you got to understand who people are, and you got to be involved in what's going on with this process, because people want to move you out the way. People don't communicate with me because they know that I know a lot of things about this game. So if you don't want Lowe, me, to you don't want to recruit my son because of the knowledge that I have of this game, I think that says more about you than anything else. It means that you are okay. You want to be able to continue to lie to other people because you know you can't lie to me.
And now, Lowe, we didn't touch on this, but you coached Texas Pro many years.
Yes.
Coached with the Houston Hoops many years.
Yes.
During that time, Lowe, do you feel as though, or here's another question: do you feel as though these current coaches who you have a relationship with, or who you've met along this journey, do you feel at some point they may have viewed you as arrogant, or may have viewed you as a certain way because of the guys you had, the Chicken Nose, the Daniel House, the Jared Allen, during that time, to where now they say, oh man, Marlon, he shitted on me then, or he shitted on us then, I was here, now I'm here, I'm not gonna recruit his son. Although it should not be that way, do you feel as though people are treating this as so like sins of the father?
Good question. The answer to that is no.
Okay.
I don't have bad relationships with people.
Okay.
I didn't. There's a current head coach who was assistant many years ago, recruited two of my players. They didn't get them. And one time we went back and forth on social media about a small thing, right? Because they didn't get the player. But when we since talked about that, and I put it behind me. I hope that he put it behind him. Whether that shows or not, I could guess one thing, or I could guess no, but no, I don't. No coach can say I ever told them off. No coach can say that I asked them for anything. If I ask you for something, I'm asking you to make sure that you take care of their family, make sure their family is up to date on what's going on. You keep them abreast of what's happening. You don't got to do nothing for me, man.
Yeah.
And the reason why, because if I don't ask you for nothing, you're gonna keep coming back. Yeah. And they always kept coming back.
Yeah.
If I was bad with them, they wouldn't have kept coming back.
Right. It's another grassroots guy who I know who's in a similar situation to whereas college coaches, they've told me like they didn't want to deal with this guy because of how he treated us when he was on top or when he was on, top of the food chain.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, particularly like with a kid with your son, who arguably is one of the better point guards in the country, well, he's a top 100 player in the country. He's proven that when you say that he would want more or more schools, is one of those things. So it's like, do you want more schools or you want the right school? Because like you said earlier, for you and your son, you want the people who love him, right? Mm-hmm. That's most important.
Mm-hmm. Listen, at the beginning of the summer of school year last year, my son, I didn't know. My wife had to tell me. She took me upstairs and said, "Look at his wall." Mm-hmm. Above his headboard where he sleeps, he had some goals that he had in mind for by the time his senior year starts and who he wants to recruit him. Mm-hmm. He had about 8 schools that he wanted to recruit him and have an opportunity to really go to. Out of those 7 or 8 schools, 0 recruited him. None.
And now let's back up, Lowe.
Yeah.
Are take off your Jalen Lowe dad hat. Mm-hmm. Put on your
I'm
Marlon
a basketball guy, always.
Put on your Marlon Lowe evaluation hat.
Yes.
Could your son play at those 7 or 8 schools?
I'm not going to say my son. I'm going to say Jalen Lowe.
Sorry. Good call. Can Jalen – that's a good call.
Jalen Lowe.
Jalen Lowe. Could he play at those 7 or 8 schools?
Yes. Okay. Jalen Lowe can play at any school in the country and help them to win. Mm-hmm. There's not one school that he can't from a talent perspective and a player perspective. He didn't get any of those schools. But go ahead.
Do you have relationships with any of those 7 or 8 schools?
Absolutely.
All of them or most?
All of them. All of them. Mm-hmm. All of them.
And relationships.
There you go right there.
Meaning that they recruited players that you had before, or you have a relationship like?
That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. In this game, I've constantly told a lot of people, understand that these coaches are not your friends.
Yes.
This is their business.
Yes.
And too many people get caught up in thinking that people are their friends because they call them all the time. They call them day to day. They're calling you for information.
Absolutely.
They're calling you for intel. Okay? They're not calling you because they really care about you. They call them because you have an opportunity to help them to advance.
Correct.
But however, there are some really good people in this game. So some of these guys are friends.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But for the most part of those 7 or 8, I would say most of them are not friends, but they've been acquaintances, and that I've helped them. We've communicated over years. I've helped them with certain players before, giving them intel and insight on players that they eventually got and helped them to move forward. Yes.
Move up the ladder as far as them jobs.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Correct. So I wouldn't say that they're friends.
Mm-hmm. But
it
all
comes
those
full circle that now I know that they're not friends, they're acquaintances, because a friend will do what's required of a friend, which is, even if it doesn't, they're going to have tough conversations. A friend is going to tell you, hey, man, you my boy. Yeah. I like him, this and that, but we just don't have it, Lord. I think this, we've been working on this one. We're going to get with him, but dog, don't. Yeah. Or they going to still it's going to be some type of communication.
And so
in
you
there.
saying it's been nothing.
Nah, even nothing. Nothing.
Not even a check on, not even because sometimes, Lowe, people give courtesy calls,
Yeah.
And now what you said earlier, Lowe, you said that they can't lie to you.
Yeah.
So
don't lie to me.
A courtesy call to Marlon Lowe about his son Jaland, maybe they feel like because they know you, they don't even want to go that route.
I'm okay with that, but you got to communicate with me. Mm-hmm. Not at one point in time. When you called me before, you sent me a text or asked me about some kids, did I not respond or not say that I can help you?
Yeah.
I've talked to you man to man, face to face, and I've said things that I can help you. I've told you about certain guys, and we just had conversations, even if it's not about basketball. If you don't like a kid, it's okay, but you can't punish a kid because of the father. That Jalen Lowe doesn't think like his dad. Jalen Lowe is a basketball player. And if you are, I've questioned a lot of people I've seen a lot of things since this has happened, more reality. Like I said, and I don't like to bring Jalen Lowe into it because I don't want anybody to prejudge him or to judge him or expect certain things from him, but they're going to do that anyway. he can play at any school and help any school in the country win at the highest levels. People try to say their downs players say why they won't recruit that young man is because of his frame. But you spend millions of dollars on a weight room and you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what's the purpose of that?
Strength and conditioning coaches.
Come on, miss me with that.
Yeah.
You can't say he can't think.
Yeah.
You can't say that you didn't see what he did. And you can't say that you've seen 3 better in the country. You can't. Now, if you choose to do it a different way, that's cool. If you choose to move a different way, that's cool. But don't deny what you saw.
Right.
Don't deny what is in front of you. And a lot of people try to deny it by not making the call. You know, and like I said, it's not about just lying to me. You just have a communication. I'm a communication guy, and if you want to talk about something, let's talk. But you know, like even right now, I might have over communicated right now, but it's cool. You know what I mean? It's cool. I don't have when I see those guys, I still speak to them.
Okay.
Because my thought on what I've allowed to tell myself is the fact that they just like somebody else. They got their own style.
Preference,
and that's cool. And that's cool. So my thing would be, again, I've had a school call me several times about all kind of players that my son was playing with. Never asked me about my son, and I had no problem with it. No problem with it. Because when they asked me about a certain player, I told them the truth. I told them what they wanted. So they can't say that I'm about anything else. I'm always try to help kids. I'm gonna be truthful and transparent as I can.
Okay, Lowe, last part of the episode we call five Sloan Cold Facts. Give me the 5 best players you've ever coached and the 5 best players you coached against.
Ooh, Jesus. The best player.
5 best.
The best player. Let me see. It's hard to say. I'm gonna say Daniel House. I'm gonna say Tommy Mason Griffin. I'm gonna say Jared Allen.
3.
I'm gonna say Isaiah Taylor.
4.
Ooh.
One more.
But the best player that I've coached and the most fun coach player, his name was Deshaun Garrett.
5. From Wheatley.
Went to Wheatley High School.
I know Deshaun, my family actually.
That's my dude, man.
Oh, okay.
He was phenomenal. I loved him, and I thought he was one of the best to get it done.
Okay.
He was
Okay.
It was
Wheatley.
a dude. Yeah.
Okay. Now, 5 best players you coached against.
Ooh, Jesus. Bradley Beal. Man, it's DeMarcus Cousins. Shoot. Derrick Rose.
Okay. Two NBA All-Stars right here.
Jesus, man, I'm trying to think. Against. Wow, so many of them. I'd have to come back to you on that, Sloan. That's a good call.
Okay.
I wasn't ready for that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Marlon, we appreciate you, man, joining Sloan Cold Facts. Great conversation, insightful, transparency. Look forward to having you again on the show one day. We're going to try to get you and Yuri, man, some other guys in here one day, maybe even Aaron Harrison to kind of have a basketball conversation.
You definitely going to have some nice beverages for sure. No doubt. We can do that, man. It was my pleasure being here. I appreciate everything that you're doing, man. I love the elevation, the growth. We all go through some things, go through turbulence as we rise. You know what I mean? Everybody goes through some type of turbulence as they rise, but it's about once you get to the top, it's smooth sailing. You just got to know how to make sure that you're navigating everything properly, man. So congratulations you on your ascension.
Appreciate that, Lowe.
And I'm looking forward to continue to see good things from you. So
appreciate that. Sloan Cold Facts, episode 3. We out of here.